Okay. Basically, I want to make four brief points in these 4 minutes. The first, that it would be extremely naive of anyone to imagine that the suspension of Jeremy Corbyn had not been discussed and agreed beforehand by the people who are now running the Labour Party. They were waiting for an opportune moment to do so. And they found that moment. The fact that they've chosen some remarks of Jeremy's, which are so mild, moderate, truthful, is what is shocking. That effectively they've said there is no freedom of speech in the Labour Party, that someone who's being criticized can't say what criticisms are justified, what are unjustified. That is effectively what Jeremy Corbyn did. And I think this is part of the campaign that has been mounted against him over years, because they were determined to destroy him. Many of us didn't believe that they would destroy him in the sense of trying to drive him out of the Labour Party, but possibly some guarantees have been given behind the backs of everyone. Don't worry, in time, people like him won't be in the Labour Party. That raises the question of what if he is not reinstated? A number of trade union leaders, very good statements, demanding his reinstatement. But what if they are turned down? What are we going to do then? Remain silent? I mean, I say we collectively, not that I'm a member of the Labour Party, like Lindsay German said. You know, we supported Jeremy because he had a huge impact on socialists and people on the left outside the Labour Party, and for the first time in years got us thinking seriously about this organization, which had been written off as a warmongering organization responsible through its leaders for the death of millions of people. Blair has killed more people by going into these wars than quite a few Tory prime ministers, if you want to draw a balance sheet. Corbyn wanted to change all that, and he decided to do so. So if the conditions are that for Jeremy to be reinstated, he has to grovel and apologize in public, like a servitor in the Saudi Arabian court or an apparatchik in North Korea, the answer must be no. He shouldn't do it because he has nothing to apologize for. The issue of anti-Semitism, I won't go into, other people have referred to it. But one thing I will say, that the media which is quoting the campaign the campaign against anti-Semitism as somehow a neutral organization. I mean, this is bizarre. The CAA is an alliance of extreme right-wing Tories and extreme right-wing Zionists. That's who they are. They are not neutrals. They have an agenda, and that agenda is to drive out, as they see it, all Palestinian supporters of Palestine from the Labour Party and pick on anything. They've now put up a list of 15 MPs, which includes, by the way, Angela Rayner, who made some unfortunate remarks about Jeremy the day after he was suspended. And she's on the list of people to be expelled. So how do you fight this? Of course, you can try diplomacy, pass resolutions, write letters to the newspapers, but as we see, just in this week, the last 2 weeks, the Chilean people mobilized and turned out in force to defeat a referendum, 78% of them, mass mobilizations. We see what's happening in Poland over the last 2 days, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of women and men supporting women's rights, marching against these semi-fascist thugs who are running Poland today and going back on rights that have been agreed for ages. So my advice, quite honestly, is this, that if Jeremy is not reinstated unconditionally, leave alone if they move forward to expel him, I think what that requires is hundreds and thousands of people in the Labour Party, including those Labour MPs who believe that what he said was truthful, trade union leaders, mayors, councillors, throughout the country standing up in public and saying, we agree with what Jeremy Corbyn said, that the anti-Semitic charges against Labour, it's not that anti-Semitism doesn't exist, but they have been exaggerated and weaponized. How can anyone disagree with that on the left? It's perfectly clear. And that, I think, if they really want him back, is a campaign, a mass campaign, which in times of COVID can't be on the streets, but it has to be organized by people actually saying, we agree with Jeremy Corbyn on this particular issue. Let's see then what happens. You cannot fight back by retreating, not opening your mouths, saying, oh, no, we might be expelled. That is the way to disaster. Complete way to disaster. A number of mistakes have been made already on this. So on the last point I want to make is that someone mentioned earlier a moral campaign or in reference to something or the other. Let me tell you something, that every single day, while the Labour left has been thrown on the complete defensive, we are seeing everyday Palestinian lives being uprooted, Palestinians being killed, their olive plantations being burnt, their properties under attack, young men, young women either being imprisoned or killed, Gaza being bombed. This is going on every single day, and it's not reported in any of our mainstream media. The Israeli press is better at reporting what is going on in Israel than any of the supporters of Israel in this country. The Israeli sections of the Israeli media sometimes publish the truth. So this total retreat on Palestine, apart from in a token way, I think is a moral disaster for all those who speak of human rights and all those who claim to defend Palestine, but actually now are too scared to do something. So it's not just that the campaign has targeted Corbyn, it has put the entire left on the defensive. And you're not going to change that by keeping quiet or talking about diplomacy when the people you want to talk to are kicking you where it hurts. You have to stand up and you have to fight back. That's all.